Welcome back, everybody. Again, my name is Todd Wall. Welcome to School of Authority, where we believe that authority is trust in motion, because it's trust that it allows people to move forward. And what we're talking about today is we're talking about the bottleneck that gets created, the manager task, the manager tax that unintentionally creates a cost on your business and cost on your department that you didn't intend to, because all of a sudden the growth just plateaus. It just stops. It just hits a ceiling of some sort. And you begin to recognize that you've become the hero of the story and not the conductor of the story. You're not leading the team. You're now, all of a sudden, everything, you look around and everything has got to go through you, and your frustration level is going up and up and up. You know you need to hand these things off to the team. That's the reason you hired them in the first place. But what we want to talk about now is, how do you do that? How do you do that in a way that you can trust them? Can you do that in a way that you can trust handing that off, and it's still going to be okay? It can still get to the results that you are wanting to get to. Let's unlock it together. Let's jump in. Let's go. What do you want to do first? What do you want to do second? I haven't been this excited since today's social media world with influencers. Oh, I already know how to do this, don't I? And the coach just nods. The most important element of this trust issue is acknowledging that you do have emotions and fears behind it. And you acknowledge that fear behind it and go, okay, this is what I'm actually feeling in this situation. I'm worried that if I hand it off to this person, he's just going to completely drop it. Maybe you've already been in a place because you took so much control. Maybe you've already given each one of your team members a negative label. And that's the ceiling that they're going to rise to. So we need to find a way to help them break through that ceiling and find a way through it. So many managers that I coach, they get in this people-pleasing trap. They almost don't want to hand over the responsibility to that other person because they want to be that manager who's liked by their team. And that people-pleasing can become a cage in ourselves. So we take on those tasks. Oh, no, don't worry. I'll do that for you just as long as you like me as a leader or a manager. And that people-pleasing, it is an ongoing thing that we must unravel on an ongoing basis, but we must form a new belief about it. And so I want to bring back in Dr. Hastings, Val. He's a master coach. He's seen this over and over again with how leaders unravel this bottleneck that they've created. And so let's jump in again. Let's see what he says about and what he's going to create. He's going to bring in, how do you become a challenger of your team so that they can rise to a new level? Let's jump into it.
The people pleasing, it just doesn't work. And here, let me just lay it out for you here. They've identified in the challenger sale the 5 types of sales individuals, 5 distinct profiles: the hard worker, the challenger, the relationship builder, the lone wolf, and the reactive problem solver. And as part of their research, they asked companies and different leaders, what's the profile that is going to be the star performer? What's the one that you really want to have on your team to make the change? Across the board, most people believe that it was the relationship builder that was the one that was going to be the star performer. That is not what showed up in the research. What showed up was that the star performers, the ones that are really having an impact, are the challengers. Now, not that they're not relating. They are relating, but there's this balance between relating and then really helping people to see and to think differently. So the challenger, first of all, they have that relationship piece. They really are connecting with people. But then they're offering their expertise. And as a leader, you bring expertise, you have experiences, you have knowledge, and we're sharing that. We're inserting that in a timely way that really helps them to be a better performer, maybe to rethink how they're doing, what they're doing, those steps, so that they can be more effective and overall bottom line is better. We're doing the coaching competency again, number 7, which is evoking awareness. How we think matters. And that really is the challenger piece. It's relating plus nudging a bit.
What is it that the challenger believes that makes him effective?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of beliefs there. One is that they believe in the other person. You can't really empower someone unless you believe they have the ability or the resources to really make some changes and shift. The other is that they believe in themselves as well. This is expert to expert. We've both got information. We've both got resources that we bring to the table. And in the challenger, we're stepping in intentionally when it's really beneficial and offering our expertise, our wisdom.
As opposed to that extreme side that I warned at the beginning of the segment, that control freak, it really sounds like there's a balance involved in being a challenging or challenger person. You've got the relationship piece. It's not throwing that away. I'm an expert. You're an expert.
There's also this, I think respect is the word. There's this tremendous respect for the other person that comes out of not only do I know you, but I respect you. And I believe that you have the abilities, the skills, or we can develop those in you to really rise to the occasion.
I don't sit down on a chair unless I respect that chair. Unless I know that thing can handle my portly, middle-aged body. So unless I respect it, I'm not going to transfer weight over to it. Unless I recognize it's there in the first place, I'm not going to transfer any weight or any reliance over to it. But then I'm going to share some responsibility at that stage. I'm not just going to jump over to it. I may break that chair. I need to settle into the chair in a balanced approach, and then evenly set. Because if I put all my weight on one side of it, there's a good chance that chair is not going to hold up. So there's a balance that's necessary. I love that picture of recognizing first off, that person on your team got hired for a reason. You're going to hear me say that over and over and over again on this show. Your team member, your employee, they got hired for a reason. They may not be an expert yet, but you see in them the capacity of growing to that expert level. When you hired them, or even somebody else hired them, is because something was recognized in that person that they're going to be an asset to the outcome. If I believe that they're an asset to the outcome, then there's things that I need to rely on them for. Now, there may be things that they're not ready for yet, and that is okay, but that's where I lead. I was coaching one of my clients here lately, and I said, you manage tasks, but you lead people. Tasks need to be monitored. People need to be grown and empowered and lifted up to a higher level. Jocko Willink in Extreme Ownership, he said, in this process of what he calls decentralized leadership, is you don't just throw something on somebody, you give them just a little bit of responsibility and let them rise into it and see how they did it. If they do well, great. Next time, give them a little bit more responsibility so they can rise again. But then if they don't do well, then that's the opportunity not to come down on them, but to come beside them. Now you become a teacher sharing your expertise. Well, what about if next time you did this? Or even getting them to analyze what didn't work in this scenario. So they know you're not attacking them, but you're bringing something out of them and allowing them to rise and analyze because they're going to do it differently next time. So what if, in this next clip, we're going to hear a little bit about this from Val, but what if you're the Michelangelo of managers? What if you're the Michelangelo of leaders and your whole role is to chip away a little bit more, a little bit more, and a little bit more of that person, not their ego and breaking them down. No. What if it's the art of creating art in that person? What if there's more in that person that needs to be developed? And what if, as you do that, the result is you're going to find more space in your calendar so you can see the big picture better, because they were hired for a reason. Let's jump into the next clip. Let's talk real practically. What leaders you've seen step into that challenger role, what have they done specifically that's enabled them to do that well?
Well, one of the things is they're okay being awkward and feeling like they've kind of, like when you're a people pleaser, there's this nice kumbaya experience in the room. But when you're the challenger, sometimes you've got to like stop that kumbaya, that nice little feeling that's there, and it becomes awkward. And you've got to be okay with being awkward in the room. And the piece that comes with that, you can't be awkward unless you push the pause button and stop things. And so that's part of what we've got to be willing to do, is just, can we push the pause button, take some deep breaths, and then speak what's awkward? It reminds me of, was it Michelangelo when he carved the statue of David? They asked, how did you do that? And he said, well, it was in there. I just chipped away at it a little piece at a time. And that's what we're doing as the challenger. We're not taking big sledgehammer pieces out, but just chipping a little bit, being a tad awkward, inflicting a little bit of pain as we chip it away.
Yeah, there's a lot of belief in that moment. Who we believe we need to be, the identity we need to play, and what we believe about that role. So believing it's okay to be awkward. Because ultimately, I believe that there's a masterpiece inside this person. Do you believe that other person has a masterpiece inside them, that they are also an expert, just like the chair? Are they willing? Do you trust them enough to rely on them? And if you do, it's that transfer of weight over to them. So this transfer of weight, how have you seen people do that?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like sitting on the chair. You just don't jump in there all at once. You're giving them opportunities. You kind of test the water with them. So here's something, take and run with it. And then you have that check-in with them regularly. Let's talk about how that went. What kind of results did you get? What would you do differently? And you keep adding the weight to that. Until you really do believe, like your chair analogy, that I can sit on this with all of my weight. So it's really incremental.
It sounds like a stretching process of moving them, almost a rubber band, pulling it wider and wider. Not so quick that it snaps, but just enough to where it really it stretches its legs a little bit. It realizes what it's capable of as well.
Absolutely. That rubber band's a great analogy. Yeah. It once stretched, it never goes back the same. It's always different.
That's a fantastic picture. Once it's stretched, it never goes back to where it was before. And so if we would let go of the people pleaser and we move into this challenger, it's also that belief, I'm going to make an impact. So I'm not just making an impact on my team and my company. It's also the impact that is being made in individuals. What if my calling is not just to lead the department? What if we saw this as a calling to not just lead the initiative, but to stretch and grow people? What if that's one of my trophies? By you challenging them out of their status quo, out of what they're comfortable with in that moment, you're giving them the opportunity to see more of who they are. As you as the leader, as you see more of who they are, oh wow, where can this company go?
Yeah, I think the biggest reason you want to shift from being a people pleaser to a challenger, is that people pleasing, while it has this feel good feeling to it, it really doesn't work. It doesn't produce the results that you want as a leader. So bottom line, that's why. And that's the very reason. The problem that so many of the people that we work with is that they're trying to manage people in a new and different way, and they're really struggling with that. And they're feeling overwhelmed, wanting to get their time back. And so that's why people are then part of our training program, because they get to see, some tangible ways to really move in those shifts from being a people pleaser into the challenger, because that's the essence of what coaching is how do we evoke awareness? We have an asynchronous program, 24 hours, self-paced, great way to just get a taste and a start in the field of coaching.
All belief comes from clarity, and clarity, sometimes we have a belief we don't even realize is there, but if I jump in, that's the power of what coaching does for people, for teams, for whatever situation you may be in, because it helps you get away from that situation just enough to go, oh, I was actually believing that person couldn't do this. But when you're intentional and you go, I hired them for a reason. Of course, they may not be ready for it yet, but I can eventually get them there. I like this picture of asking the question, well, what if your calling is to develop people? And as you develop your team, the natural outcome will be the solutions and the connections with your customer that you're looking for. But what if you didn't skip that middle step? What if you made your trophy growing the people on your team, and even the openness of growing yourself into these uncomfortable areas, and not just hunkering down into that bunker mentality where you feel like I've got to lump everything on my shoulders. What if there was freedom in trusting people? What if there was freedom in trusting a different way of doing things? What if the bottleneck was really just fear? Fear that hadn't been challenged. Fear that hadn't found a strategy around it. I want to encourage you, you can do this. I want to encourage you, you hired them for a reason, and there is greatness right in front of you. But take the baby steps necessary so that you can trust along the way and allow those people to bloom and blossom right in front of your eyes, and imagine where your company can be at that point. All right. Authority is trust in motion, and it's trust that gets people to move. My name's Todd Wall. I enjoyed this. Stick with us. Like, subscribe, leave us a comment. We'll see you next time. What do you want to do first? What do you want to do second? I haven't been this excited since today's social media world with influencers. Oh, I already know how to do this, don't I? And the coach just nods.
So you're wondering, how do you supervise in a way that works while also multiplying your time so that you're much more efficient? You're wanting to be able to let go of things, really trust the people that you're managing so that they can really do their very best and go on their way. This is all about the shift from the soloist to the conductor. I'd like to invite you to consider our Coaching Foundations program. It's 24 hours. It's 100% asynchronous, self-paced with recordings, and it'll give you a good taste of what coaching is. You can begin at any time. It's the perfect place to be.